through anatomy and physiology. Oh, we're gonna record this now? Okay.
I can start recording after.
Yeah, I'll shut up now.
Sorry. But I figured though that what you were saying might be good for me to comment on, that other people might say the same thing.
Oh, okay. I am procrastinating because I have never been one with poetry before. It's one of those things where I overthink it. Also, it's very boring to me, and I'm just like I'm taking my time getting to it. I literally blocked out my whole calendar today just to do poetry today.
Okay.
And get on it.
Well, I think there's a lot of students who feel that way. And I think a lot of students are like, they'll say something similar to what you said in terms of like, I'm not a good writer or whatever. And, this course, 1102, this is not a poetry class. This is not a class on professional writing or any of that kind of stuff, And so I'm not so much really critiquing your analysis of the poetry, because you're not an English major, are you?
No, I'm going into nursing.
Yeah. This class is not designed for English majors. This is designed for every single person who wants to get a certified Georgia degree. And one of the requirements is at least 3 English courses, 2 on writing, 1 on literature. And the type of writing that we're doing in this class is more about preparing you for all your other classes to be able to write about what you've read, okay? But I'm not critiquing necessarily your interpretation. All I'm critiquing is can you formulate your paper, all your work into proper Mla formatting, because they want to look professional across all classes. And also, can you write in complete sentences? And can you formulate paragraphs? It's like, okay. I'm not looking at you from a perspective of an English major.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like in at bigger colleges, there's English 1101, 1102 for non-English majors, and then there's English 1101 and 1102 for English majors. And so, the what we do as an instructor differs between those who are English majors versus non-English majors. So for me, all I'm looking at is that you're using basic grammar, that your style is professional looking, and that you are writing in complete sentences.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really grading you on like, is that the right analysis of the subject or the metaphor or the simile? Okay. So don't forget about it. So don't overthink it that way.
Okay, I figured, because I saw your comments on the last one that you graded for me, and I could see it was very much based on like grammar, format, punctuation, like how things are laid out. And like, yes, the content is important, but I can tell it's more the structure.
Yes.
Of it. Okay.
Yes. Cool. I listened to this podcast this weekend, and there was this Tay Coates is a great writer, and he's also a professor of journalism, and he writes about how some students think that they can intellectualize their way through their writing, where they don't have to pay as much attention to craft and structure, and they can just try to sound smart. And he's like, actually, that's not it. Okay, it's actually first about structure and sound rather than just what you're writing. And so someone who might have intellectual thoughts, but they're not communicating in a clear way, or it's not presented in a professional way, people aren't going to take those ideas seriously. So that's really what I focus on. So that way, when you go into your history course, your required history course, or one of your electives, and you're writing a psychology paper, that you can communicate your ideas in a clear and presentable way. Okay, so
I like it. Okay.
So don't freak out about it.
I'm not gonna freak out about it now. Okay.
Don't forget
Cool.
about it. It's all good. All right, everyone. So that was great. Got a good question. This is week 4. I'm going to present to y'all the list of assignments, which is also our calendar. Okay, so look, so I extended the date, the due date of your essays till last night because I went on a trip all last week to Vancouver Island. And so I wasn't going to get around to grading these essays anyways. So there was no reason to have them due on Wednesday since I wasn't going to be grading them until this morning, which I have. I've graded about a fourth of the class so far. Okay. I'll get to the rest of the class, either the rest by the end of today or by tomorrow. So you can have those back. I'm going to present 3 essays in this class to talk about in terms of what they did. I'm not sharing any names of these essays. So if I grabbed your essay, if I put yours up here, don't worry, you will know it's yours. Hopefully you would know it's yours, but it won't be your name. It will be a made up name, okay? And I put these up and I go over these essays not to embarrass anyone, which is why, of course, I leave your name off of it so you're not embarrassed, okay? And also, I don't do this to shame you. I do this to inform you, okay? And oftentimes, the best way that we can learn from examples is when they are relatable examples, and the most relatable examples are the flawed examples, okay? So, like I don't like to read books by people who are perfect. I'm like, you bastard, I'm not perfect, so why am I going to read about you being perfect, you know? So we can do much more self-reflection when we look at imperfect things, okay? So all the essays I'll be going, which is just 3 of them, the 3 essays I'll be going over today are ones that are imperfect, okay? All right, so what's crazy is, look, y'all, we're halfway through. Week 1, week 2, week 3. This is week 4 right here. And then we are literally moving into the final slope of the class. After today, there's only 2 more real actual lectures. The last lecture is more like just a wrap up of the class, okay? So we are turning these things out, okay? If you notice, your graded required assignments are after you do the poetry assignments, there aren't any more graded assignments besides the essays, essay 2 and essay 3, okay? So like, and some of y'all have already turned these in. I've already graded some of these Let America Be America and If We Die assignments, all right? But they're not zeros yet. They won't be late until after I at least get through, I mean, they're not even due until the 15th, so, you know, you're good. All right. So this week, you are going to, I want you to watch Moana, okay? If you've seen it, try to rewatch it. If you haven't seen it, find a copy of it, watch it. It's available on like Disney Plus. You can rent it on Amazon, all right? I'm gonna do now of course, this is not graded. There's no way that I'm going to be able to know if you watched it. But I'm going to do a film analysis of Moana next week, and it would be great if you watched it, and so you have, you understand the story. So that way, when I go over the analysis, it makes more sense to you, rather than if you hadn't watched it. Okay. Now, because I know y'all aren't children, I just think Moana is actually, a good film. Okay, has a good message. And I'm going over it only because I think its message is rather mature and deep, and it's a lot different than like Frozen and some of these other Disney films. But also, to not patronize you, I would also, next week, I'm going to talk about how I'd like for you to watch Candyman, the horror film from 1992, and to listen to this this podcast analysis of it, because by doing that, it will really help you in preparing for essay 3, where you will watch a film on your own and you'll do an analysis of it. Okay. I'll go over more of that next week, but in preparation for next week, try to find some time and watch Moana. Okay. That would be great. Okay. So I'm going to get into the essays and going over this. And I do not imagine today's lecture will be a whole hour. I imagine it won't be. Who knows? It might. Okay. I don't know where the train is going. It just goes. And I'm on board. Okay. And Jamie and Azine, if at any point y'all have questions about anything I talk about, please ask them, because that's the benefit of being here live, is being able to actually okay, great. I just had a paranoid moment that I was not recording this at all, and I was like, oh my God. All right, great. So ask anytime, okay, because that's the benefit of all this. All right. Okay. So here is the first essay I'm going to kind of present to you. Let me share my screen. Okay. So like I said, all I'm doing is going over three student essays that were essay ones turned in. Okay. And the point of this, I know, listen, there's no fixing essay one. You've already submitted it. Okay. So I'm not going over these errors to say, again, shame on you for making these errors on essay one. I'm going over this so that way you don't make these same errors on essay two, because even though you're writing about poetry for essay two, the things I'm grading really are similar to this, are still gonna be the same things I grade for essay one. All right, essay one, I graded, and as I went over this last week on a PowerPoint, I focused mostly on structure. I focused on your MLA formatting, because the presentation of the MLA format is a professional format. And as you move into writing for either just college essays or writing, a lot of times we have like mission statements that you might put on top of your resume. You might have, a lot of times people like these, they don't want just a resume. They want to kind of like hear about who you are. It's called a cover letter. And your cover letter should be formatted in a professional manner and look like that it has structure to it and that it flows and it's well organized. All right. And so, you know, there are going to be times. Oh, also, like I wrote a, let's see, every house that we've purchased, we've been in a bit of a bidding war, not really a bidding war, but the people who are trying to buy the house from, there's been multiple offers put on the house. So oftentimes the real estate agents will say, well, write a little letter to them, write a letter to the owner to see if, you know, that they'll pick you just because you're a letter. And this is played out. Twice I've written letters to the people whose houses we're trying to purchase, and they've chosen us. Okay. So sometimes, you know, in this case, or you might have, if you have children, you might have to write a letter to their teacher about something. So, you know, the presentation, the format of your writing is important, which is why I do stress a lot about the proper MLA formatting. Okay. All right. So MLA formatting is something that's necessary. Organization, the flow of the essay, and then also that you are punctuating things correctly. These things are going to be just as important in essay two as they are in essay one. All right. So here we go. All right. So looking at this essay by Dean Johnson, which is not a real person. I'm sure there is a Dean Johnson that exists, but not in this classroom. Okay. Johnson, we have the last name in all caps, page number. Very good. Very good. Okay. And then we have here. Now, I already noticed that it looks like there's extra space between these lines here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all. I'm going to do, I'm selecting all. Okay. And when I go up to paragraph and I click on this little arrow, I can see that the formatting is not consistent. See how this is blank, and this is blank? That means that the entire essay is not the same formatting, that there's formatting errors. Okay. Cancel. And so I predict that it's here because I think these are extra lines right here. And then if I scroll down, I'll see that, oh yeah, okay, these are not, this is not double spaced. So there are a bunch, there is inconsistency. If I highlight it just to demonstrate to you this, and I go to paragraph. Okay, so the header here, see the header here, before says 0, which is good, but after says 8. That's incorrect. The after needs to be 0. It needs to be 0. The line spacing is 0, good. Now, if you will watch the lines before I click OK, put your eyes on Dean Johnson, English 1102, Mr. Byers, and the date. When I hit OK, you're going to see that those lines shrink. All right, and they did. They shrunk some. Okay. So now when I highlight the heading and I highlight some of the lines of the paragraph, and I go back to paragraph, I see that it says 0, 0, double, which means that they're all the same. But then when I do all of it, select all, okay, including the works cited, and I go to paragraph, it's blank again because the works cited is not double spaced like it should be. So I'm gonna put 0 here, 0 here, line spacing double. Okay. And now the works cited page is double spaced. So now when I, again, select all, everything in this paper is highlighted. It's all highlighted. I go to paragraph. I go to this little arrow. Now it's not blank any longer. It says 0, 0, double, which means that everything in the paper, all of it, is properly formatted and it's the same format throughout the entire paper. Okay. If it's blank when you open that up, that means that things are inconsistent. If it has the set 0, 0, double, that means it's all the same. Okay. All right. So then we go down to the essay itself. Okay. And looking at this, I see that while the title is correct, the title, quotation marks, The Adulteress Woman. Okay. Because we put titles of short stories in quotation marks. Now, this is the same for poetry. Poetry, short stories, titles of songs, titles of episodes of TV shows, the episodes of the TV show. These all go in quotation marks, okay? Because they are inside of something. This short story is inside of a collection of stories. A song title is inside of an album. Okay. So they go in quotation marks. So the poems that you write about this week for essay 2, all the titles need to be in quotation marks. And they need to be, the first letter needs to be capitalized. Okay. So if you are writing about a poem called The Worm, then it needs to be in quotation marks and the W needs to be capitalized. Okay. So make sure that you do that. All right. So here we have the Adulteress Woman. It's a story about a woman who loses herself in her marriage to a man that in the end cares more for his career than he does her. All right, great. In the end, we have our commas, great, then great. The wife's name is Janine and the husband Marcel. She compromises herself, take on. Okay, blah, 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 blah. All right, so here we have a quote. We have a quote here, but this quotation mark is backwards. Janine described him with wisp of graying hair growing low on a narrow forehead, a broad nose, and fluffy mouth. Okay, so a couple of things. One, you don't need a comma before the introduction of a quote if you're not using a verb. So like Janine describes him with wisp of gray hair. That should be all one complete sentence. You don't need a comma here, okay? Because it's you're using a quote inside of a sentence that flows freely. Janine describes him with wisps of graying hair growing low on a narrow forehead. So in this case, you just need the quotation mark right next to the first word of that quote. Okay. Now, if the word before the quote is a verb, then you would need a comma. So if you said the author states with wisps of graying hair growing low on a narrow forehead, a broad nose, a flat mouth. States. To state something is a verb. The author writes. If you wrote the author writes, or the author explains. These are all verbs. Writes, explains, states, comments. Okay. If you have a verb, then you before the quotes, then you need to have a comma after that verb. If you don't have a verb, in this case, Janine describes him with wisps of. Okay. Now, if she just wrote Janine describes, then you'd have a comma because describes is a verb. But him is a noun. It's a pronoun. So therefore, we have Janine describes him with wisp of graying hair growing low on a narrow forehead. No comma. Okay. The quote is right next to the very first word of the quote. Okay. I mean, yeah, the quotation mark is right up against the first word of the quotes. All right, so let's keep going down here. Okay. All right. Now, these body paragraphs, okay? This first body paragraph deals with Sartre's the waiter analogy, okay? So Sartre the waiter, okay? Second one deals with savior complex, okay? So we have the waiter analogy, the savior complex. And this last one's about her reconciling with herself, okay? Now, those three body paragraphs, they are supposed to be alluded to, like referenced in the introduction, okay? Your introduction serves to let your reader know what you're going to be talking about in the body paragraphs, okay? So this introduction doesn't really contain a thesis because we don't know where the writer's headed in this essay, okay? So there needs to be some sentence, okay, mentioning the waiter, savior complex, and climactic moment of finding oneself. Okay. So my comment to this writer would be that we need a thesis statement. We need a thesis statement. Thesis needed that will reference what is going to be discussed in these body paragraphs. Okay. All right. So then going through this, starts the waiter. This is good. Okay. Here, a lot of people are making this error right here. They're having a quoted phrase, and then they're putting the punctuation outside of that quoted phrase. Okay. Punctuation has to go inside of the quotation mark. So this comma should actually be there. The perfect, all right, role of the perfect waiter, unable to acknowledge. So as the waiter was playing the role of the perfect waiter, unable to acknowledge that he is worthwhile human with much to offer the world outside of his one facet of himself, the waiter. All right, and then here we need to have that period needs to be inside. Okay. Okay, that's again here. All these little instances of where punctuation needs to be inside. Okay. Now, as stated in Psychology Today is the proper noun title of a magazine and a website. Okay. Titles of magazines, websites, books, they need to be italicized, okay? Because they're a proper noun, okay? So, and they contain this information. So psychology today is a source, and so it needs to be in italics, okay? The quote here, now as stated, that's good. We have a comma here, okay? Now, here is the parenthetical citation, okay? We have a period, and then we have a parenthetical citation. So this period needs to be deleted. It doesn't matter if the sentence naturally has a period, okay? You exclude it, have your quotation mark, and then have your parenthetical citation. This Newman should tell me that down here in the works cited page, there is a source, which there is right here, okay? So, hello, Newman. Okay, so we don't have a period before the parenthetical citation. Okay. Okay, so that there would need to be fixed again. Okay. So right here would need to be fixed. Okay. Oh, this is great. Look, Camus shares. Oh, Azine raised his hand. Yes, Azine. Please.
Hi, sir. Good morning. First of all, sir, first of all, I have a question regarding this. Uh, for the quotation, if we go to the Google and do some research regarding the quotations which we are putting inside the essay, so that's count to be a plagiarism or it's count to be in work, or it doesn't matter.
Quotations? Okay, Azine.
Yes, quotations, or if we took some an idea from the Google, because I saw in my essay one you have marked down most of the like stuff with some colored and related, like it's I took from the Google basically those stuff. So that's what I want to know. Is it allowed to be used that the statements from the Google or not? Because like I saw whatever I did in my essay, I works cited in last. So is that all okay, or we cannot do that, all things?
Well, I have an essay that I was going to go over that exact question. Okay. All right.
Okay.
And so I can show you a sample essay in which I will. Okay. So here's his question. His question is about the research and using quotation marks and the citing of the sources. Okay. And so I'm going to show this essay right here, and then I'm going to show another essay and to compare contrast. Okay. So for this essay here, we have Camus. We have Camus, a writer, and the quotes. All right. If we go down a little bit further down here, we have Healthline. Again, Healthline needs to be italicized because it's a source. And plus, I mean, it's a title of a website. As stated in Healthline, and then we have this quote: "Saviors often feel driven to save others because they believe no one else can." This ties back to the fantasies of omnipotence. Quotation mark, and then we have the author's name. Now, this is a website. So, Azine, this person, Johnson, they found they used Google. They found this quote on this website, and they want to use it in their essay. So they used the quote. They put the quote in quotation marks because that tells the reader that the writer here did not write these words. Like Johnson didn't write these words himself. He found this complete sentence and he put it in here. And then he told us where he found it. He found it on the website Healthline, and it was written by the author Ray Poole, which when I go down here, I see Crystal Ray Poole. So her article, Savior Complex, Definition and Common Examples, is posted on Healthline. And I can go here to this website and find this exact quote. Okay. Now.
So basically that's called the parenthetical citation.
So yes. So like, let me show you this example. Okay. This is someone else. Okay. Class, this is someone else's paper. And this person here did a bunch of research, which is great. They did a bunch of research. And they found quotes that totally work for their paper, okay? Problem, though, is that they're not cited. There's no quotation marks showing that these words are not this person's ideas, but that was somebody else's ideas. You can use other people's ideas. First, you can use them sparingly. And second, if you use quotation marks and with the works cited. So like these right here are direct quotes. This is a direct quote. This color, the green's is almost a direct quote. This blue's a direct quote. This is a direct quote. These are all direct quotes that do not have citations. Now this one does have no. So this one's about Simone, but these aren't Simone's words. This is somebody else's analysis of Simone that was used in the paper. So the problem with that is that, like this name right here, this person's name does not appear anywhere in this paper. So like, let's say this quote right here was written by this person. Me, the reader, and me, the teacher, would have no idea that this is what this person Adakari wrote. Okay, which is why we would need quotation marks, and we would need quotation marks and a citation. Okay. Now remember also though, I did talk about how. Okay, so Azim, does that make sense? First, before
Yeah, it makes sense.
okay.
Yeah, so for any research we are doing, for example, just an idea, if we take like half of my essays from my research, whatever I did on the Google. So whatever I did, I took from the Google. So for it started from the italics in the name of the website name, and then in the quotation marks, like whatever the lines I took from the research. So I write it down, and then the author name. That's what you want to say. Actually, for sometimes I can write for example, I can write the website name, but there the author's name are not mentioned. As you saw me earlier in the in that. So you said the first website name, and then the quotation mark, the whatever you want to say, and in the end quotation mark, and in the bracket the author name. But most of the website don't appear, don't discover, like they don't show who wrote this. So on that moment, how can we tell this research?
Right.
Because that was totally connected to the essay, or connected to the research. Like for example, if we see Simone de Beauvoir, so if we took that and if we go on their website to look up that, we can write like the website name, but we don't know the author name. So what we can do in that situation?
Yeah, I got you. Okay, look, I'm gonna use an example right here. Okay, this person's essay. Let's say this person found a quote from this website. Let's say Darlene Lancer's name wasn't there. Okay, this was let's say, because sometimes if you go to like some of these websites, yeah, especially if you go to like, sometimes organizations will post work. So like, let's hear this. Let's see this. American. All right. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. A new share. So
Okay,
Azmian's asking a great question. He's asking, what do you do if you find a website, you find information that you want to use from a website, and there's no author? Okay. All right. Can y'all see my screen? Cancer facts and statistics. All right, great. So American Cancer Society is a website that, of course, is very well. They're really well established. They put out a lot of research. They conduct research. They do studies. They do all sorts of stuff. Okay, and they will put out a bunch of facts. Okay, so let's say you're writing a paper. Okay, on cancer facts and figures for African American and Black people. Okay, and you're writing about the disproportionate like health coverage for people of different races. Okay, and you read this and you're like, oh my God, this is some good information here. Okay, so here is the citation. They just happen to have this. American Cancer Society, Cancer Facts and Figures for African American Black People. So there's no author, okay? But you see, oftentimes there's no author. The organization, that is considered the author, okay? So in this case, if they were to use this, a quote from here in a paper, in the works cited page, you would put it like this, and you would use copy the website. Okay, and in your paper, you would state, you would say, oh, also, like if it's a long, if it's an organization, you can put in parentheses the initials ACS. Okay. So in your paper, if you wanted to cite this, okay, you would write something like okay, so you might be writing something like the health impacts of the Black community can be seen in the fact that, and then you have your quote. All right, let me. And the fact that about, and you have your quotation marks, and then in parentheses, you can put AOC. Okay. So the health impacts of the Black community can be seen in the fact that about, oops, you would fix A. And you, of course, you don't make this all the same font. Times New Roman. Okay, the same. Dot, dot. All right. So the health impacts of the Black community can be seen in the fact that, quote, about 224,000 new cancer cases and 73,000 cancer deaths are expected to occur among Black people in 2022. AOC. So then when someone would, oh, I'm sorry, ACS. So when someone would come down to your works cited page, they would see this ACS and know that you are quoting the American Cancer Society. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. So just want to make sure, is that called the parenthetical citation? Or
yes, this would be correct parenthetical citation, because I have a
so
quote,
that,
I have a quotation mark, and I have in parentheses my source. And after American Society, you can put in parentheses the abbreviation, especially if it's a really long, if it's a long name, you can put an abbreviation of like how, and pretty much what you're doing is you're telling the reader how you are referring to this organization, because there is no last name to just put. And you don't want to put, you necessarily always have to write American Cancer Society. So you are just abbreviating it with the initials ACS. But,
makes sense.
but I cannot put ACS here if I did not write ACS here. Okay. If I didn't write ACS there, then here I would need to put American Cancer Society. Okay.
Okay, and one more thing, sir. As I saw in the earlier, the subject name goes down the student next to the student name, but when I downloaded the essay sample, and in that there was a Mla format, and there is some stuff on that, but it shows the student name, teacher name, and then the subject name, and then the date. So which one is like the correct form?
Of here, up here.
Yeah. So that's like that's the student name, and then subject, then teacher name, then date. But
Yes.
when I download the sample essay from the lesson, I think 1 and 2 week,
Uh-huh.
and in that one it was like teacher student name, and then the teacher name, and then the subject name, and then date. So like
Oh.
which one format is correct?
Um, it probably is. It probably is switched. It probably is your name, then the teacher's
Yeah.
name, and then their class they teach. Because a lot of teachers teach different classes. So uh, then that's probably it. So I don't think I took points off though if those two were switched. Because that's a minor detail that. But
And secondly, yeah,
yeah.
okay. And one more thing, as I saw the title are in the quotation mark, and also I don't see the quotation marked the title in the sample essay,
No.
because I
The title
Mhm.
does not need to be in quotation marks unless you are mentioning the title of a story. So like the Adulteress Woman here, this is in quotation marks only because this is the title of a short story. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So if I said this title could have been Janine's affair with herself. Let's say that that's the title that this character that this student wanted. This title would not be in quotation marks because it's not containing the title of a short story in it. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah, and one more thing, for the essay, I'm sorry to entering the another essay in between the first essay. In essay two, you said we have to choose 3 poems from the list of that poems. So first of all, I'm taking the first one from the female's perspective. So I have to mention in the starting like that, adulteress woman. My first topic would be this, and start talking about that, and the another topic, and start talking about that by mentioning their name, or just started from first giving the name, like whatever the poem name in the title, and then started, and it's going on and on.
So in your introduction,
Hmm.
you do not need to mention the specific titles of the poems you're going to write about until you get to your thesis statement. So, or closer to your thesis. So like when you begin your introduction for your essay two, you're writing about poetry in general and diverse perspectives. Okay, because the idea is that you want to start broad and then you want to start getting more specific. So,
Okay.
and so you'll begin talking about, great thing about literature is that you can experience different perspectives, different realities that you aren't familiar with. And it helps you to gain, insight, helps you to learn more about different people, blah, blah, blah. And then you can go into saying, for example, in the poem, what it means to be her by this, the reader understands, the idea about developing bodies. And then in the poem, this poem, blah, 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 the reader learns about this. And so towards the middle end of your introductions where you can state the poems you're going to be talking about and sort of like the focus that you're going to spend on those. So you're just kind of like,
Okay.
you are letting the reader know what they're going to be reading in the body paragraphs. There's going to be a body paragraph about this poem, about where you talk about theme. There's going to be a body paragraph about this poem where you talk about symbolism. In this poem, you're going to be talking about this.
Okay, and one more thing. Sometimes when I was writing the essays, and my 1,100 words are completed in like 2 pages. Okay, and it's not fulfilling the requirement of 3 to 4 full pages. Then what should I do? The minimum
Then you
requirement
keep
I
writing.
saw.
Yeah, you
And
keep writing.
keep writing.
Yes.
Okay, and for example, so for in a body paragraph, if I'm talking about the first poetry, so it should be in a one paragraph, or it's up to me divided into 2 or 3 paragraphs.
You should try to talk about each poem. Now you can, like I'm not going to tell you that your essay has to be only 5 paragraphs. You might feel like you need 2 paragraphs to talk about the poem, as long as if you're talking about two different things. Some people will cut a long paragraph in half just because they think the paragraph is too long. but that's not the right rationale. The only reason you cut a long paragraph into two is if you realize you're actually talking about two different points. So like if you're writing if you are talking about if you move from talking about theme to then talking about symbolism of this poem and they're not connected, well then yeah, you should separate those two paragraphs. If it takes you a long paragraph to fully explain your one idea about this poem, then you just have a long paragraph.
So that as we can say, like in one whole paragraph we can talk about the one poem. In that we are talking about the perspective, theme, and symbolism, and on the another paragraph we can talk about the other poem, and same as we can speak on their the symbolism, perspective, and the third one, the theme. And we can do the same as in three paragraph, and if it's take to, and we have to take that to the 3 to 4 full pages, doesn't matter like what were the words is going to be, word count going to be. So is that the right way?
If
In
you
that way,
if you're
in that
talking
way,
about
in
so
that way, go ahead, please.
if in one paragraph you can talk about how the theme is understood through the symbolism, okay, so that shows that theme and symbolism are connected. Okay, you can't understand the theme without the symbol, so you're discussing how the symbol reveals the theme. Okay, if you are talking about these separately, like there's a symbol that you want to discuss and then there's a theme you want to discuss, that might be two separate paragraphs because you're talking about theme all here and symbolism here. If you want to talk about how they're connected, how to understand the theme, you have to understand the symbol, then in that case, you might talk about it in one paragraph. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's all about if the conversation that you're having is really just one conversation about two things, but it's all under the umbrella of this one idea, then you just have one paragraph. If you want to talk about fully the symbolism, and then you want to talk about fully the theme, then you might want to split those up into two different paragraphs. So it
Okay.
depends on your
And
conversation. Now, what
and
you
and
do,
and one more thing, it doesn't matter how many paragraphs we are making it. For example, if I'm start writing about the first poem, and in the first poem I'm unable to connect it, the theme, symbolism, and perspective in like in the one way. So I can make like the first paragraph of the theme, then symbolism, or the symbolism and theme and perspective in 3 paragraphs. I can write down the one poem, and the second poem I write down the 3 poem and 3 paragraphs. So in that way, I have like 9 paragraphs. Does it make sense or not?
yeah, no, that's fine. Writing, there's no magic number of anything. There's no magic number of paragraphs. There's no magic number of sentences. It's all about does your point make sense and is it thorough? Sometimes people will write many paragraphs, but they are short and they lack depth. They lack explanation. Okay. Sometimes people will write fewer paragraphs, but there's way too much going on and they don't realize that they should actually be dividing this up. So, what you can do is you can write some of it and then send it to me and I'll look at it to see if, and give you any feedback. Like if you're on the right course, like after you write your first couple paragraphs about the first poem, if you want to email it to me and I can take a look at it to see if you should be doing the same thing as what you're doing currently or if you should change something.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that would be great for me, because in this class it's not like it's a very short period class. So in that there's no kind of like the day because in my English 1101 there was a there was a, I mean, we can say the assignment, we have to first draft the rough draft for the essay, and then we have the final draft. In the rough draft, the instructor point out the mistakes we are going to, we are doing this and that, and in the final we fix it, and then we are good to go then. Yeah, that makes sense. I can send it to you if you can do that for me. Then that
Sure.
way I will be know, yeah, if I'm on the right track or not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you so much for.
No problem. No problem. It's good questions. And I think all of that's really useful for the other students to hear as well. Which brings me, to this, to continue talking about this. So the problems with using this, so like this is a fine amount of a quote in this type of paragraph right here. Okay, this would still be problematic if the person used quotation marks, because if we look at the whole paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 5 lines of this paragraph would be a direct quote, even if this was like quoted correctly. We had quotation marks, we have citations, okay, all that. And then there would be, that would leave us with 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of original writing. That's a problem, okay? You can't have that much direct quotes, because I'm grading you on your writing, not on other people's writings, okay? It's great that this writer, this student did the research and found these quotes, okay? But we can't, but I'm also grading your ability to communicate. So like if this person wanted to use all of this, they would have to take the ideas and completely reword it into their own ideas and still cite it. Y'all, listen, if you take an idea of someone else's and you learn from it and you put it back on paper in your own words, you still need to cite that person's ideas. You don't just put a quotation mark, I'm sorry, a parenthetical citation from when you do a direct quote, but you also do it from an indirect quote, okay? This person could completely rewrite this idea in their own words and then still put the citation here to show, hey, these are my own words, but I got all the ideas from this person over here, okay? So same thing with this, like this is the introduction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 6 lines are directly cited. So even if this was properly integrated and we had citations, parenthetical citations, okay, this would still be a misuse of quotes because it only leaves 2.5 lines of original writing, okay? Now, like this paragraph is great. This paragraph, we have a lot of the writer's own ideas, and then we have this quote. So like if this person, as long as this person, they did say it was Albert Camus. If they cited where they got this from, that would be okay. But like this paragraph, same thing. Too many quotes. Okay. This is called a block quote, way too much. Even if this person cited it, used quotation marks, put the parenthetical citation, it's too much. Okay. I don't want y'all to use long quotes for any of these papers. You will eventually learn how to use what are called block quotes, but not in this class, okay? And then same thing right here. The conclusion is all one long quote, okay? So that's a misuse of quotes, even if it was cited, even if there was parenthetical citation, okay? You can't have that much quotes at all right? So we definitely need to reduce the amount of quotes that we were using. Okay, so we're running up close to an hour. I think these were good questions, okay? This first essay here, we fixed a lot of stuff on it. Instead of citations, this is supposed to be called works cited, okay? Works cited, and it needs to be double spaced. Make sure, remember, these are all double spaced, and this is called a hanging indent. All right, the first line of the quote of the citation is all the way a line left, okay? But then the other lines below the citation are indented. It's a hanging indent. Now, some of you might have a hard time with that. Some of you are, and let's see if I can, some people, oh, no. was trying to show you how to do the hanging indent in case you have forgotten. Okay. All right. Also, one thing is that, look, this essay is great because it is aligned. It's the justified align. Let's see here, layout. Oh, let's see. Where is my alignment? Oh, here it is. Okay. So the essay, the body paragraphs, the introduction and body paragraphs need to be what's called justified. Go up to paragraph here, okay? A lot of people are turning in their essays with the aligned left, and you see how it's all raggedy right here. Look how jagged that is. It's like a mountain range, okay? It's all jaggedy. This side looks nice, and this side is all kerfunkled. So instead, you need to be clicking on justify. Justify. So it's straight down and it's straight down. It's like a book. Okay. This essay did it very well. Good. It's also aligned correctly. It's justified. Justified. Okay. This essay was not aligned properly to justify. It was only aligned left. This is straight down. This is like a jagged mountain range. Okay. We don't want jagged mountain ranges. Okay. We want straight lines. So you have to make sure that you go to justify. Okay. This one, you gotta get rid of all these additional lines. There should be no additional lines between any paragraph, any of your heading. Again, this is not called references. This is called a works cited page. Okay. No additional lines. Okay, here goes. So this is a good example. Some of these are not hanging indents. See, this right here is not a hanging indent. So you need to, if I go to this line and hit tab, it goes over. Okay. Now, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it won't. So I need to go over, go to the previous line, hit tab, at the very end of it, and it'll push it over. That's how you create the hanging indent. And then I added this one, so I'm gonna put this one up here because it should all be alphabetical order. All right. Albert Camus, this needs to be put up here. It's not in italics. It should be in quotation marks because it's a short story. All right. Okay. So these are the main things I want you to try to apply in your paper this week. Okay.
Sir, can you show me like how did you align in alphabetical order?
How to arrange these in alphabetical order?
Yes, how can we do that if it's not in the alphabetical order?
Okay, all you do is you do it alphabetical from the last name of each author or the first letter of each citation, and I just highlight it, and I use my mouse and I click it, hold it down, and then I can move it. I can move it to wherever it needs to go. I can move it up here like that, and I can move this one. I click and I move it down here. Okay, there is no automatic. I just have to do it manually. I highlight the whole thing, and then I hold down the button, the select button, and I put it wherever I want to put it. Does that make sense?
It is makes sense. So we have to do by the author last name, first letter, right?
Yes.
In alphabetical order.
Yes. This
Okay.
this first letter right here, all of these. So like this needs to move down, or Camus needs to move up. A to C, H, M, P. There you go. Same thing with, let's look at this one. This was just two of them, N and R. So that's alphabetical order. Okay.
Yes, sir. Makes sense. Thank you.
All right. Do y'all have any other questions? Jamie or Azine?
I do not have any other questions.
All right.
I have one question regarding the short story analyze. I saw in assignments you post like a couple of the questions we have to find. One second, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I saw like a couple of questions we have to answer in the short story analyze. For example, um, if we are not able to find a few questions on that, then what should we do? Just left it or just slide whatever we think.
Some of them are analytical questions. And then, so like, let's see here. Let me pull it up.
Like in the poem, if let America be America again, I found the most of the questions in by reading the poem, but I'm not able to find like most of the questions.
No, it's just some of the questions. So I want you to write 150 words. Okay. And some people can pick, like, how does America fail some, if any of its people? Okay. Well,
so we don't have to answer all 12 questions.
nope. You just need
So
to answer some of the questions, just some. You pick
okay.
a few that you want to answer in 150 words.
So it should be in the proper words, like it says, for example, the number one question, what is the author saying about the American dream, and uh what type of Americans are being described in that poem. So if because I have written down some of them, so I write in that way, for like the in other words, like the American are being so this and this and that in the poem described. So it's in like different wording. So it makes sense,
Yes. Different
so
wording.
so it basically what I'm saying. It's all mixed questions. Like the first is author saying, and after that I write down the what whose voices are expressed, and then I write what type of Americans are these are being talked described in the poem. So it makes all sense or not?
Yeah, I don't want you really to do any research for these. I want you to
Yeah.
read the poem and think about, like, okay, and it's like for some of you, you might not be like, I don't really know what this is saying about the American dream. Whose voices are expressed in this poem? Okay, which people who are oppressed? Why does the author state America was never America to me? Just based upon what the poem is talking about, what can you interpret? Okay, so some of these you can skip. Others of them you will definitely write about. And I would like for you to try to just do it based upon your own analysis,
Yes.
not research that you found.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. All right, y'all. Well, look, if you have any other questions, feel free to email me.
And one more question.
Yeah.
One more question. In essay 2 poem to choose from, so in that I just want to make sure we can choose all 3 poems from one perspective, or it would be
Yes.
on 3 of them, right? But
Yeah.
it's supposed to be 3 poems.
3 poems. Yeah. Used to, I said originally, I did make where I wanted people to pick the same group, like just pick the female perspective, or pick the queer perspective, or pick the Black perspective. But then people were like, well, I like poems from different groups. So then I was like, all right, fine, you can write about any 3 you want.
Okay. And one more thing, in the grade book, the due date for essay 2 showing 17th June, but in the assignment list, the course calendar, it shows the 20th June.
Yes, always follow, only ever follow this list of assignments. Okay. The school create, let's see here. There's a template for this course that automatically gets shot up there. So like some professors, they just do exactly every single thing the school has already uploaded. And then there's other teachers like myself who modify. Okay. And so I change things. And so whatever I write on this, whatever I've written on this document, okay, this summer 2022 assignments, lecture topics, and due dates. Follow this. Just follow this. Okay. So SA2 is due on Wednesday, the 22nd. Okay.
It's going to be 22nd. Okay.
Yep. That's when because the thing about it is that like that's the day that I'm actually going to like, that's the earliest that I'm going to sit down to start grading these. Like I will, Wednesday the 22nd is when I will start, and look, all assignments are due by 5 a.m. of the grade date. So like I wake up at 4 most mornings, and so I can start grading as early as my coffee hits my stomach at 4:30 a.m. because I don't get much done when my kids are awake. And so, because I mean, it's summertime, you know what I'm saying? We're going to the pool, we're doing summer camps. So I like to grade before they wake up. So I won't be grading SA2 until Wednesday morning on the 22nd. Okay. So ignore anything else in the grade book except for this stuff right here.
All right. Makes sense. Thank you.
Cool. No problem. All right, y'all. Well, I hope this was informative. Y'all can email me any questions. And I'm really glad I got a lot of people live here. Okay, this is great. I'm gonna do this again next Monday and the next Monday. So come back. Okay, set your alarm. 9:15.
Yeah.
Put on your clothes, drink your coffee, have your whatever, and be here. Okay, whatever gets you going.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you all. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good day, sir.
You too. You too.
Have a good day, Jamie.
Oh, that's nice.